How do you obtain Spanish nationality? Ways to acquire Spanish nationality. That's what we're going to discuss in this video. Get comfortable because you're going to leave with that doubt completely resolved. You will leave knowing how to acquire Spanish nationality, how it could be granted to you. Let's get started. There are 5 ways to obtain Spanish nationality. We are going to talk about all 5, and I'll give you examples so you understand how they work in practice, because some are quite strange, quite rare, quite obscure. So let's get started. Nationality by origin. This is the most common one, the one taken by all those born to Spanish parents in Spain, therefore the one taken by the majority of Spaniards in the world. To understand it, you need to know that there are 2 types of rights regarding nationality by origin. There is ius soli and there is ius sanguinis. Ius soli is basically that you acquire the nationality of the place where you are born, period. And ius sanguinis is that you acquire the nationality of the blood that runs through your veins, which is basically the blood of your parents. So you acquire the nationality that your parents have, ius soli and ius sanguinis. In most of the world, ius sanguinis is in effect. I know that this is strange, especially for those of us who are Latin Americans, to understand that you were born in a country and are not from that country because your parents are not from that country, but that is what operates in most of the world, including Spain, with certain exceptions, but generally that is what operates. Understanding this, then the first assumption and the most common for nationality by origin is that one or both of your parents are Spanish. In that case, you will acquire Spanish nationality no matter where you are from. There are other scenarios, such as being born in Spain to a foreigner who was also born in Spain. So, this is like a hybrid jus soli, where you are granted nationality by territory, but only if your father was also born in Spain and he was not granted it. A third scenario is a very interesting one. If you are in Spain, whether you are regular or, well, if you are expecting a child, whatever the case, this scenario is very interesting because it involves nationality with the value of simple presumption. This is also a nationality by origin, and it is granted to all babies born in Spain to stateless parents or to parents who have a nationality, where the laws of that country do not automatically grant nationality to the child for being born abroad. This happens with a specific list of countries, which I will put down here, or you can also find it in the description box. You can check it. Look closely. If you are from one of these countries, and your partner is too, meaning both of you don't have to be of the same nationality, but both must be on this list, then, if your child is born in Spain, and as long as they are not granted the nationality of one of their respective countries, you can apply for Spanish nationality for them with the value of simple presumption. And if you do not have papers, then you could apply for a 5-year residence and work authorization due to family ties, simply by having a Spanish child and by living with them or being up to date with your parental obligations. So it is important. Other less common cases, for example, are when a Spaniard adopts a minor or when there is a baby in Spain and nothing is known about their parents. They are unknown. In those cases, nationality by option would also be granted. Which one was it already? The first, nationality by option. Now we move on to nationality by residence, which is another of the most common types and one that we have discussed extensively in many videos on this channel. Nationality by residence is basically the one granted for residing legally, continuously, immediately prior to the application, and with good civic conduct in Spain for a certain amount of time, which will depend on your personal situation. What matters to us Ibero-Americans? What matters to those of us coming from Latin America? Well, the period for Ibero-Americans, which is 2 years, is a reduced period. The general period is 10 years. For Ibero-Americans, it is only 2 years. And if you are married to a Spaniard, then it is only 1 year. It's not only 2 years for Ibero-Americans, but also for those from Andorra, the Philippines, Equatorial Guinea, and Portugal. It is 5 years for those under the international protection or subsidiary protection regime, and it is 10 years for the rest of the cases. For those who are not Ibero-Americans or from the Philippines, Andorra, Portugal, or Equatorial Guinea, and who do not have the international protection or subsidiary protection regime, for all of them it is 10 years. So if you have 2 nationalities, it is advantageous for you to obtain your legal residence in Spain with the nationality that has a reduced term. In this case, with an Ibero-American one, as long as you have it. It is a very common case, for example, of people who have US nationality and the nationality of a Latin American country, which we always recommend. If you are going to apply for your residence in Spain because you want to live in Spain, For heaven's sake, do it with your Latin nationality. If you end up applying with the US nationality, which we have had cases of, it will later become a real problem for your nationality to be considered as Ibero-American, since you started your relationship with Spain using your other nationality, which does not have a reduced time frame for nationality application. As I mentioned, this topic has been extensively covered. In the video description, I will leave links to the different videos we have on this topic of nationality by residence. Make use of them, make use of them. Any questions, just note them in the comments, you know? Let's continue. Let's move on to a rare nationality by naturalization. What is this? It is a discretionary nationality, basically, or one that the Spanish state can grant or not grant based on Spain's interest. Examples of this nationality include athletes, people with great merits who have contributed something to Spanish society. Or the typical case where there is a building on fire. People are screaming from the balconies, please save us, save us. An immigrant passes by. The immigrant uses their jungle skills, climbs up just like Spider-Man, and saves the people. In that case, that immigrant performed a heroic act, and we would be delighted to request Spanish nationality for him by naturalization, even if he was in an irregular status in Spain. That's the use of it. It's anecdotal, but just so you know, it exists. Let's move on to another rare one called nationality by possession of status. This one is quite interesting. It's basically when you have been exercising a Spanish nationality in good faith for at least 10 years, and then it is discovered that you were not entitled to it, they revoke it, then you have the right to request Spanish nationality by possession of status. For example, one day my mother was bored at home, got cheerful and threw a party with the milkman. Imagine that. And well, it was something sporadic just like that. And it turns out that around that time she got pregnant. My father registered me. Everything was fine. And then when I was 10, 11 years old, my father found out that I was actually the son of a milkman, and I was registered as Spanish because I had a Spanish father, mind you, and my mother was a foreigner. My mother was foreign, I had a Spanish father, and I was registered as Spanish. Then we found out that this father was actually not my father. My father was the milkman, who was also foreign. He was a foreign milkman. So, since my mother is also foreign, two foreigners cannot give birth to a Spaniard. Therefore, my original Spanish nationality should be revoked. It is revoked from me. But the next day, since I exercised Spanish nationality for more than 10 years in good faith because I didn't know that this man had been vilely deceived and that my father was actually the milkman. I didn't know. I was completely innocent. So I apply for nationality by possession of status. I spent 10 years exercising my rights with my Spanish documents as a Spaniard, and therefore I am entitled to Spanish nationality by possession of status. There it is, Spanish nationality by possession of status. I have saved a very interesting one for last, which is Spanish nationality by option. Basically, a benefit, a prerogative given to certain foreigners to acquire Spanish nationality as long as they meet one of the conditions. If you look at this definition, it could fit with any of the others, but I don't know why they've included it. Well, maybe because it's something residual. If you don't fit into the others, well, yours is by option in any case. What are the conditions? Well, basically, having been under the parental authority of a Spaniard or a Spanish institution, having been adopted at over 18 years old. There is one very popular among immigrants outside of Spain, which is a case of this nationality, known as nationality by the law of democratic memory, what they call the grandchildren's law. Some even call it the great-grandchildren's law, but it's important to know that it doesn't extend to great-grandchildren unless the grandchild applies for it. So if the grandchild applies for it, then great-grandchildren can be linked, but always dependent on the grandchild applying and being granted the concessions of all the others. This nationality by the law of democratic memory is basically for descendants of exiles from Spain for political reasons, gender, sexual identity, etc. Usually during the Spanish dictatorship. That or that they lost Spanish nationality, in the case of women by marrying a foreign citizen. If you want us to make a video about this topic of nationality by the law of democratic memory in detail, because it's also something for which time is already against you, since it's only valid until November of this year, you make the application and then the opportunity is gone forever, because in fact it was only valid until November of last year, but they extended it, so it's unlikely they will extend it again. Move if you are in one of these cases of nationality by the law of democratic memory, because you could be losing the opportunity soon. If you want us to talk about that in detail, let us know in the comments and we'd be happy to. There you have it, 5 ways to obtain Spanish nationality. Specific questions. Leave them in the comments, we try to answer all of them. Also in the description box, you have a link where you can schedule your consultation directly with us or contact us. There you have the contact methods so that we can schedule a consultation for you to chart the best path towards your Spanish nationality or towards your legal residency if we determine that is the best path, because you cannot apply directly through any of the other options. Thank you for your like, thank you for your comment, thank you for subscribing, because I assume you've already subscribed, right? It's the smart thing to do. We publish videos daily, good videos, entertaining videos, videos with all the latest on Spanish nationality and immigration. So subscribe, go on, subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Legal in España Official, where we also post content every day, a bit of personal content. So, chin, day by day with my kids. Well, it's nice. Thanks for watching us. See you next time.